I just want to just appreciate for this moment that we don't have to keep up with the day-to-day of this shit.
Oh.
We can wait months until we even comment on a thing.
Yeah.
So, so we're just going to wait till shit already happened, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is actually pretty current eventsy, I would say. Can't stray too far.
It's more current eventsy than
it is
some of the recent eps.
Well, you mean our history eps?
Yes.
It is more current than our historical studies, although it lines up perfectly. Greetings and welcome to The Empire Never Ended.
Greetings.
With Boris, Fritz, and Ray.
Hey. The Siths are also in the news, but not these.
Yeah, well, some Siths.
Yeah.
Anti-Siths, I say.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect the line of consecration that begins with Darth Ravenous.
Darth Ravenous.
And Darth, Saluzan was their Vindex.
Mm-hmm.
It was Darth Ravenous and Darth Nargul.
Mm-mm.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Yeah, those are the only Siths we recognize here.
It is evil indeed.
Yes.
But these Siths believe in AI god from the future, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you mean in the lore?
No, not
our Siths.
Oh, those the new Siths.
Other Siths.
The new
Siths.
The fake ones.
Yeah. Man, I feel like that's mean to the listeners. We should probably say at least what the fuck that is.
The
Zizzes?
Zizians.
The Zizians. Look, it's not our problem anymore. Other podcasts have picked it up. We don't have to.
Yeah. Look, techno, like freaks, no?
Yeah,
AI cult.
Yeah.
Not a very smart one, seems.
Well,
they rarely are.
Yeah.
I don't know how to break it to you about today's
They kill
subject.
a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah. Those. Yeah, well. These guys are all geniuses.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. These are the guys. That
a rare treat for our show. Are we being sarcastic?
Not the techno freaks. These are just Nazis.
Well, they're eugenicists.
Yeah.
They are bold revolutionaries in the new era who are going to finally break the chains of wokeness that has ruined our civilization. And these guys are the Human Diversity Foundation.
We already talked about them, no?
We mentioned them. We did. We spent more time talking about the origins of the word human biodiversity in this general scene of contemporary eugenicists, tech billionaires, etc. We looked at Steve Saylor.
Yeah.
And we hinted then that we had a follow-up episode, and this is it. Not in the way we'd imagined. We had other plans for it.
We did.
We had other plans, but you know what?
But when guests fall through,
when they just fall right through.
We have to do it ourselves.
Yeah. So here's what I did. I went back and looked at some of the journalism from Hope Not Hate that we had talked about when we talked about Steve Saylor and Saylorism, and specifically a recent article published at the end of last year, October, called Race Science Incorporated, Undercover in the Human Diversity Foundation, the $1 million race science company. And this was some pretty cool investigative kind of undercover work.
Yep.
Done by Hope Not Hate. There's a documentary that accompanied the release of this. Do you perhaps have that title up? I have forgotten it, but it's a good watch.
I think it's just called Race Science Inc.
Oh, okay. Well, a documentary of the same name. Yeah, if you want to see some of the behind the scenes elements of how this reporting came together, I can recommend you check that out. But our focus is, of course, on this group. And just in short, what is this group? They are the successors to the Pioneer Fund. Very literally, Like, they got the money.
Yeah.
And they're carrying it forward with a modified mission.
Pioneer Fund was founded in the 30s, right?
37, with a release of a Nazi film. A public screening.
They had direct connections with the Nazis at the time in Germany, and Roger Pearson was one of later on.
Well, Roger Pearson was the Pioneer Fund was the primary benefactor for Roger Pearson, as well as a number of other eugenicist writers. And Pearson, when he was editor of Mankind Quarterly, the race science fucking journal, quarterly, founded, I think that was by Robert Gayer, I believe, before Pearson. Pearson ran it for a while, and now Mankind Quarterly belongs to the Human Diversity Foundation.
So there is a direct connect. We did like a few episodes on the like eugenicist movement specifically in the US.
And its relationship to the development of Nazi shit in Germany.
And this specific group represents a direct connection to those early days. It's still alive.
Yes. The good old days.
Yeah.
It's I mean, look, it's going to hit 100 in another, 13 years? Yeah, been around, and it still is.
And it's not outdated science at all.
No. It's not even science.
It's not even science.
Much less outdated. So this is very contemporary. We're talking about people that have an influence on the current administration.
Oh, lovely.
In real and verifiable ways. So as Ray said, the Pioneer Fund began in the 30s. It was touting euthanasia programs, but ultimately their main mission has been to distribute funding to these wonderful race scientists that keep gracing our show, and things like like National Renaissance. American Renaissance. It's Jared Taylor.
Yeah,
he's been an enormous beneficiary of Pioneer Fund. We talked about M.A.R. Barker, going back a bit, the creator of Tecumel, as well as a contributor to the Institute of Historical Review. This is that circle.
A secret member of the National Alliance as well.
Indeed.
Right.
Well, unverified, but very likely.
I read somewhere that he was a member. But
we did.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
I think they actually they wrote it on their website.
The National Alliance wrote that.
Yeah.
Oh well, okay, that's a bit more. A bit more.
Their new form. What is the website? Vanguard something. They have like a history part, and then they say how their member was that guy, and he received some award and so on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. All right. So let's talk about some of the people first in this group, and then I'll tell a little story about how they came together. So the main 3 or 4 guys today, there's like 4 main people in the story. One of them is a name we've mentioned before. His real name is William Engman, but he goes by Emil Kierkegaard.
All right.
Emil, let's see.
Can I just comment on how funny it's to me? It's that it's in the US. It's normal to say Kierkegaard
as opposed to Kierkegaard.
No, his name is very different from that.
How would you say it?
Kierkegaard.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. You know what? I just realized I wouldn't even know if he was fucking with me or not on that.
No, it's his name, Kierkegaard. Also, like you say, Max Stirner, and a bunch of other things are funny.
As opposed to Stirner.
Walter Benjamin.
Ah, yeah.
Yes.
I think we might know that one a little bit better. Benjamin, no? You think?
Yeah.
I heard people saying Benjamin.
Okay. I mean, it says Benjamin.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, Kierkegaard was thank you. Well, in this case, it's Kierkegaard. I mean, it's some dude named, Bill. Bill Engman. So Kierkegaard was very close to Richard Lynn, who was the final president of the Pioneer Fund. The Pioneer Fund kind of went they stopped reporting their funding activities around 2020. And then the Hope Not Hate guys figured out exactly where it went. And this is these guys. So Kierkegaard is also important to the continued publication of Mankind Quarterly today. I think he's probably one of the primary editors behind it at this point. And so that's one of them. We'll get back to him soon. Another one is Matthew Frost. Matthew Frost is the point of entry for the Hope Not Hate investigators. He's the guy that, talks too much, the guy that you need for this exact kind of thing. Let's see some things that Matthew Frost had been up to. He was at the this is a wording from the article, Clandestine London Conference on Intelligence, although Ray might have me say clandestine.
No, I have no opinion.
This conference used to be held at UCL for a super long time, and then they had to move to Budapest, where they had it in 2023 and 2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
UCL?
University College London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is important to this whole thing, as we've talked about in previous episodes. These guys, Pearson being a great example, like to glom on to legitimate, quote unquote, like academic institutions or people who have still not been fired.
Right.
Most of their lists of contributors are ex-professors of this or that.
Sure. And even Pearson himself, I mean,
yes, he's a great
put a
example.
lot of weight into the title, but what he taught for like a grand total of like a year. Or something?
Yeah, but maybe he spent I think he spent like 4 to 6 years total from like student professor to quitting or something. Like this. It wasn't,
but not a very long and illustrious academic career.
But I think that like in the world they belong, that gives them more credibility.
Absolutely.
Because they actually have degrees. So, they can say we were able to do the work to get recognition, but then we were fired because of political correctness and so on.
Right.
So,
exactly. That's why that's how they come off as the brave intellectuals. And this is also why their orbiters are finding themselves on the Joe Rogan show, Lex Friedman's podcast, et cetera. These these guys that like to uncover the secrets of the universe by saying, wow.
I mean, yes, of course. They also had the actor who thinks that 1 times 1 is 2 or something like that.
Oh yeah. Shit. He already passed through the cycle. Terryism. Yeah. I think he might even be gone already.
They had like 4-hour conversations about this.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah. And then he had one of the Weinsteins come on and confront him about it. And that was just stupid on stupid violence there. It was rough to watch. Joe, incidentally, in a recent talk with Mark Andreessen, I'll get back to that talk, I think at the end of the episode, they were complaining about how, knowledge is under attack and the institutions of learning have betrayed us by stopping us from learning. And Joe says this.
You can't even have a copy of Mein Kampf in your house.
Which is clearly not true because the president has one.
I mean, it's
famously
completely not true. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, but that's the vibe here. They're very successful right now. Matthew Frost. Let's get back to that motherfucker. So,
who would prevent you from having Mein Kampf in your house? Like
you can't do it,
the woke
Ray.
police.
You just can't do it. So, all right. So this guy Matthew Frost is the brain behind Aporia, which is a sort of a intellectual dark web aggregator site. They have their own articles they produce as well, and all sorts of people have participated in that. Most of them are white nationalists of various stripes, but one of their goals, one of their missions, is to as opposed to what Pioneer Fund or Mankind Quarterly has historically done, they like to set it up as a debate. So this gives them the legitimacy of them exploring dangerous ideas, but they're very clear about this in their own, when they write to each other about this, like this is, they know what they're doing. Like they know that they're doing this in order to provide an appearance, and this is their primary goal.
Yeah.
And it's working pretty well.
Sure.
So, for instance, Noam Chomsky apparently appeared either on Aporia or the paper that.
Yeah, but he's a liberal idiot, I have to say.
He'll show up to.
And he's a free speech absolutist.
That's the thing. That's where they got him in.
That's
exactly
what I
it.
meant by liberal idiot.
But probably what's more likely is that Aporia sent a provocation about a topic, probably something to do with linguistics.
I mean, Chomsky's joined a campaign of support for a French Holocaust denier, like in the 90s or 80s.
Yes, I wrote the introduction to that book, I believe.
Yes,
about free speech.
Yeah. Which is like, okay.
That's what these guys. These dudes traffic in that, but they're all. These guys are always. Even today, I was watching PBD, of course, and they're still on this shit. They still say like, "Isn't it crazy that like this used to be the left's thing?" Like the Joe Rogan episode. Also, they went over this. This free speech used to be a left thing, and now it's like, now they're like the fascists. And
I mean, it was always a liberal thing. No,
there you go. Well, I mean, for Joe, that's
I mean, for the
communists.
For people in Chomsky's generation, like it was a radical thing. It was like how you differentiate yourself from the Stalinists or whatever. Now
there's a point. There's a history to it. Also, the Iraq War period was a big point of that because that was there was a lot of militaristic attacks on. On speaking out about that.
No.
So I mean, there's a reason why it's it's in the discourse. I mean, obviously the answer isn't no, we should have massive state repression.
Yeah.
But anyway, Matthew Frost. So
but also we shouldn't write a foreword for a Nazi's book.
I think we've learned that. Yeah. I would have thought we learned that quite a while ago. But now we got to keep learning that. Yeah. I won't do it, Ray. Don't you worry.
Okay. Awesome.
I don't know, actually. I'm now thinking there's probably a lot of pretty funny things you could write in the introduction to that.
Or the David Myers book.
Yeah. Yeah, Okay, I take it back. I'm open to it. Hit me up, guys. All right, so, Frost writes things like, okay, if they all believe that the white race is going extinct, that's a big deal. We know this. One of the associated websites here, which is Un's Review, I've sent you guys a picture of this today, a running animated countdown clock for when white people are no longer the absolute majority in the US, but just a dominant plurality. And it's this kind of doomsday clock. This is, constant obsession.
Hilarious.
So of course these guys are quite militant about this. We'll talk about how far that goes ultimately. But there are Germans involved. So Matthew Frost writes to people in his group, like, imagine, we lose our majorities in the next 10, 15 years in Europe, and then writes to his employees, like, it's your fucking duty to do this when they're engaging in work here. These people do have people under them as well. It's a pretty big operation, this whole thing. And Aporia is one of the most important parts, probably the most important part of the media arm of the Human Diversity Foundation. And Matthew Frost is the guy that sort of runs that. He has also written that with a long thread on Twitter. I'm trying to think of how to. Yeah, I'll just do it right away. In a long thread on Twitter, Matthew Frost has also said that by using these scatter plots that they like to use, basically, if you remember from the Steve Saylor episodes and the Roger Pearson episodes, these guys are. I was frustrated because I kept thinking that they were proving the opposite points that they thought they were proving. Apparently, that's a common complaint out there in the world, that the people that have approached what they've put out from a critical scientific perspective and saying, like, this is crazy town, they've also pointed out that quite a lot of the data they put up is actually counterproductive to their points, but they either don't care, they don't know how to read these things, or they are intentionally misusing them. And I think it's all three, at various times.
I think they think their audience will not check that out.
Absolutely not. So one of these examples was some scatter plots where Matthew Frost said that the average Palestinian IQ is approximately 85, close to a mental disability, citing that the Israeli IQ is quite a lot higher, right? And Frost says privately that he did this deliberately because he wanted his audience to understand that the reason accounting for Israeli-Palestinian differences was based in intelligence and genetics. Palestinians are different, he said. They can't be reasoned with, and you can't educate them.
So he did what for a reason? Lie? Or
Yeah. They're not interested in science. Yeah. Absolutely not.
But he said that he admitted that he lied.
In private correspondences.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a very tactical group. Like they know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. A third guy, very, very important. Eric Ahrens, the third, does that get your approval? He's from Germany. Ahrens.
I don't know. I only know these like famous people.
Eric Ahrens. Well, he's famous now.
Yeah.
The third senior figure of this group is the social media advisor for the AfD. How about that? He's let's see, at the Potsdam conference for the AfD in November of 2023.
So he'll be in the next government.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Well, he's got a plan for that, actually. He's been advising the AfD on how to like youthen up, how to use social media, et cetera, and has defended, he specifically worked for the MEP named Maximilian Krach, who was the guy that in May of 24 defended the Waffen SS in a newspaper interview. These are his close associates. He also was at that Potsdam meeting, which was in a castle, by the way, in 2023.
It was like next door to the place where they decided they will go for the final solution.
Yeah. Yep. Right. Yeah. That's right.
Which is like probably deliberate.
You will definitely deliberate because that's where they sat down and discussed how to get rid of all the non-Germans in Germany. And let's see. So he's very close to Emil Kierkegaard here, and has a business with Emil's girlfriend. And Kierkegaard actually lives in Potsdam in a building owned by the AfD. Crazy. What else? Okay, Ahrens wants to create a homeland, he says, for, quote, white Christian people, and says all of these people all across the world, ideally from the white world, need to be connected.
Christian here just means not Jews, I think.
I think it might. This is for them.
Or not Muslims, maybe.
Definitely not Muslims.
I don't know if they count Muslims as white, but...
No. Not the German guys. Yeah. This is for them. What we're building is for them. Ideally, you have a homeland like Germany, or probably Eastern Germany, a state power which looks out for them, like Israel looks out for Jews. It's not ideal, but it's the only way to survive. And his role in this, he says, is this. Yeah, my vision is to one day run Germany in a Trump-like fashion. It hasn't been done for 100 years to run a populist movement centered around a person. I was looking for who can be this.
100 years?
I will probably have to go into that role.
Nice.
Yeah. What did you say?
100 years? I think it's a bit less than that.
A little less. Yeah. Again, they're not good at numbers, figures, science, maths, history, anything really. In order to do this, I need to build myself, obviously, and we need to be both financially and politically independent from a party. I want to be in a position where when German government inevitably goes after me, it's because they don't want this to happen, that I need to have an international network generating revenue in different countries. Ray, this is for you. So, then you take one leg, where he changed into a French guy. When you take the one leg, you have 5 others to stand on. Like, he says, Ray, a spider or an octopus.
Nice.
Yeah. They know.
Yeah.
They know what's up. Yeah. So, and Ahrens, by the way, was one of the few guys that didn't dispute anything that Hope Not Hate wrote about them.
Oh, okay.
he should have said spider or hydra. That would be 2 Nazi reference.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
octopus was mixed in there too, right? In the first spider episode, somebody also had called it an octopus.
I don't know. Hydra is a fictional Nazi.
Well, yeah.
Well,
yeah. They're the non-ideological Nazis that just want magic powers.
I guess.
Yes. Ahrens, let's see, openly takes inspiration from the Nazi SS and is working on... So one of the scarier things about the Human Diversity Foundation is that they're putting together a club. It's kind of a mix of an actual social club, like a place, and a Rob Rondo-style active club where they learn combat. And they're going to call it Neo-Byzantium, where people will be trained in both armed and unarmed combat.
Why Neo-Byzantium?
Well, I'm not 100% clear on that. I have a couple more notes
Why
on that.
not the Holy Roman Empire? It's German.
Yeah.
Why Byzantium?
I don't know. We'll have to get more into this guy soon, I'm sure.
I mean, the Holy Roman Empire is literally the first Reich.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why Byzantium? It's a bunch of Greeks.
Yeah, I'm trying to put that together too.
Better weather?
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's just that.
Okay.
I mean, he's German.
Like, you know,
he goes to Greece.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if you had a choice
Yeah.
of an empire with, I don't know,
Yeah.
Holy Roman Empire is boring.
I don't know. I kind of, I have to admit, I'm a bit of a fan.
Yeah.
Of the Holy Roman Empire.
Yes, because
Okay, we learned something new.
because it's very bizarre.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it's like, to me, it seems fun.
I mean, Byzantium's pretty bizarre too.
It
It had a
is.
civil war between
Sure.
like hooligan factions.
That's true. But
It gave us the word Byzantine to describe something crazy and chaotic.
yes, but Byzantine also, in a different way, describes the Holy Roman Empire.
Yes, of course.
Because their
Yeah.
system is insane.
Yes.
Like they have like these duchies. They're like a part of this federation. They have their own. They vote to elect the emperor, and they're super tiny. And it's if you ever look the political map of the Holy Roman Empire, it looks like someone spilled some paint.
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a paranoid Bircher talking about the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
I would probably be in like a Mithra cult if I was in the Roman Empire.
Oh, okay, the original one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Rome, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other things we want to say about the Roman Empire?
It was horrible.
Oh yeah?
But a wild time. Quite a ride. Okay. So let's finish up the cast list here then. So we got Emil Kierkegaard, Matthew Frost, Eric Ahrens, and just to remind you, this club, can't put too fine a point on this. They specifically are planning to train in boxing and shooting. This is specifically openly inspired by the Waffen-SS, and they see this as a future force for Eric Ahrens's fucking Reich.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boxing, not like MMA.
Boxing. That's what it says here. Yeah. That's not from Ahrens. That's from the report. So
I think boxing is more white, I guess.
until you, until you fight a match.
Yeah. I mean, its origin, I guess, from their point of view, no?
You know what? I just learned something. The only thing I know, I learned in this research, actually, the milk thing. So I don't know about the boxing thing. I don't know the Neo-Byzantium thing, but I can finally fill in a long time mystery on this show, which is the milk thing. Why the milk thing with the order on? Apparently,
The milk thing being, why do Nazis drink milk?
fucking milk.
Well,
these guys
these are American Nazis.
Yeah.
These guys do it too. The Europeans do too. They're all drinking fucking cold milk at like conferences and at hangouts. This is a thing that they do.
Okay.
And then they talk about it. They're like, "Oh, milk! You're gonna be drinking all this milk." And the guy's like, "That's a lot of milk you're drinking." And he's like, "Because," and here's
they
why:
are European. Really.
because we are European, we have the magical enzyme they think that allows us to process this milk genetically, even though it's not actually true. It's just that if you never stop drinking, you have a tolerance for it. But if you stop having a tolerance for it. Doesn't matter. That's science, not the point. The point is, that's why milk. Because
Okay, so it's not like some neo-Hindu.
they believe, I think, that when people look at them drinking milk, they think to themselves, what a superior race. Look at the enzymes
Or
they
maybe
possess.
it proves that they're not Jewish, something like that.
I'm sure that's there too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure all of this is somehow to that. But this is how their brain works. I watched a conference for Vdare, which is an affiliated organization here. Vdare, named for Virginia Dare, what they say is the first white birth in America. However, when Virginia was born, the whiteness wasn't a thing yet, just to point that out. But anyway, that's why they named her that. So Vdare has conferences to this day.
Yes, okay.
Wait, what?
That was very confusing, but yes.
Oh, which part? The whiteness is a social construct part? Well,
It's the Virginia naming thing. Never mind.
Look, they're called Vdare. It's a message board, news aggregate site, research group, all that kind of stuff. It's just like Aporia. It's older than Aporia, actually, and it's run by a guy named Peter Brimlow.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm Peter Brimlow. I'm the editor of Vdare.com, and we're coming to you those of you on live stream, from the Berkeley Springs Castle, which is Vdare's headquarters, at his conference room. Now, last night, Jared Taylor gave an interesting and very dark talk about the Confederacy, which I thought was broke new ground for him. And we were going to pipe him in. Fred Kelly, our lawyer, who doubles as our barkeeper and bagpiper, was going to pipe him in, but he was on his way down from New York State with his wagon train full of children. Take that, great replacement. So he's going to very quickly introduce play this in honor of Jared.
He's a strange man. He at his conferences, there's a guy there whose name is like Scott. Let's call him Scott Girth. Forget the Gear, whatever it is. It's something like this. He is he's notably tall. His Twitter profile has his height and his supposed IQ listed on it. And so I was looking forward to his talk because, of all the IQ. This man.
So my speech is going to be about Trump, but I have to make the disclosure that I'm just speaking in a personal capacity. So I'll start off in the speech. So if Donald Trump wins in November, it'd be a huge victory. He's been censored, he's been beaten down, and yet he somehow pulls off a win. Just imagine the symbolism of that. And I think that's going to be a part of my speech, is that the most important reason we want him to win is for the symbolism and the morale boost of that.
Like, I think what's great about Trump is that, like, he gave us, like, motivation, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is
not a great orator.
He's a terrible orator. He's blindingly stupid. And I'm pretty sure, but the thing is like, I think his height more than his listed IQ is what gives him credibility in this circle, because they believe that these are all tied together, like if you're tall and white and have a good IQ, you're like, he's the guy.
He's genetically superior.
Exactly. Yeah. So they will listen to this man drone on with speeches that feel like you were drinking all night in your frat and you forgot you have an English exam and you show up and you have to write an essay. Everything he says is that essay.
Okay.
But because he's tall, they assume he's very smart.
The numbers don't lie.
The number exactly. 8 foot, baby. That's not even true. It can't be true. He's not that tall. He's also not.
He says he's 8.
He also says he has like 186 IQ. I mean, none of these things are probably true.
I mean, maybe they're true, but then it just doesn't mean anything.
It means nothing. Yeah, exactly. So the most important guy, however, is of course the funder. And this was the big breakthrough that the Hope Not Hate investigative reporting did. It took them, I think, about a year to like finalize this entire report. But the funder of all this is the CEO of Adult Friend Finder named Andrew Conrue.
We also talked about him a little bit.
Emphasis on the con in his name.
Hey, all right. Yes. So Drew Conrue, he, let's see, he gives in 2023, $1.3 million to the Human Diversity Foundation directly from his Adult Friend Finder profits. And when confronted about this, Conrue's like lawyer, I guess, wrote back, yes, Conrue gave this money, but you have to understand the Human Diversity Foundation was something very different back then. That is to say, 6 months before Hope Not Hate reached out to him, and then they asked him, okay, well, what about how you gave like $50,000 to Jared Taylor? $200,000, sorry. $200,000 of Conrue's money also went to American Renaissance, and they had no response to that one. But he's also funded Brian Pesta, who's also one of these race science guys that was like kicked out of the academy for being racist, and also for not understanding the data that he used in when he was still writing academic papers. It was kind of a huge embarrassment to his department, and they fired him. So that guy got $50,000, and he used to get a shit ton of Pioneer money. So Conrue is feeding the new Pioneer Fund to the tune of millions a year. Was until this thing happened. Now it's not so short, but I'm but they all
there's
seem fine. So
no reason to believe that he stopped.
yeah, but they've changed. Maybe they've changed again, Boris.
Oh yeah,
They've changed. So HDF has two arms, the Human Diversity Foundation. They have what they call their underground research arm, and they have their media arm. The media arm is what they consider their major advance over the Pioneer Fund. This is what they are offering. They're like, Pioneer Fund was old fogies. It was just other old fogies reading old fogies. But they have channels, YouTube channels, whatever. They're on Rumble, Odyssey, et cetera, et cetera. Their videos are unbearably boring, but I think that's cool now. So they're doing well. One of them that caught my eye that I'm sad I didn't ultimately see, but I couldn't bear to. I think it's Emil Kierkegaard, explaining MILF attraction through race genetics.
Okay.
But that's the kind of content. That's like their spicier content. Most of it is just stuff that we already covered in Steve Saylor, like DEIs knocking planes out of the sky, that kind of stuff. So that's their public outreach. The underground research arm is so-called because their job is to work from their underground ideas into the mainstream by piggybacking off of, as I've already said, people still writing in these fields that have not yet been booted. They've had some success. Most of their success is definitely with like policy making types, which we'll talk about soon. But as they've managed to sneak, they got an article into a major psychology journal, which has had a problem of credibility in the past as well. But and also, like, I think they managed to piggyback off of someone else to jump into some general scientific review, more popular publication. But overall, most of this work is just online stuff and Substack and things like that. Substack especially. Yeah. So this is important. One of their scholars was Davide Piffer, Piffer. Piffer. Dave Piffer was also on the team. His 2013 paper on race and intelligence was cited by the Buffalo supermarket shooter in 2022.
Right.
He wrote in his manifesto that black people have, quote, lesser IQ, concluding we must remove blacks from Western civilizations, which comes
Do they do anything except write about how the white people and I guess Asians are the smartest ones and everyone else is dumb?
They try to avoid the Asian problem when they can, but it comes up now and then. I was watching one of their conferences and some guy brought that up to this dude.
I said that because I heard them admit how Asians are smarter than white people. But.
Well, it's tricky, right? Because, Asians cheat, right? That's what Steve Saylor taught us. That the only reason that they're passing on these SATs, which were designed for like Nordic kids, the only reason they're successful is because they have a culture of subterfuge.
Which also proved that they're smarter.
Well, but that's the same.
More than an actual IQ test.
But we've already made that point when they've, racialized the sneakiness of Jewish people, right? I remember like one of the first questions we asked on the show was like, well, David, doesn't that mean, right, that you're not the master race? But,
and my favorite YouTube comment ever, which was the like Asian Nazi being like, all white countries are fucking shitholes, like fucking Poland and Ukraine. Like look at Japan and people are inferior.
Yeah.
Well, so they this would come up now and then, but the thing is their man John Derbyshire is this one of their former National Review worked there at the same time as Steve Saylor did, and he then went on to just write like race science.
But this is their whole thing is IQ, right?
Well, yeah. But just to say that John Derbyshire has an East Asian wife and mixed kids.
Yeah.
And so there is a kind of like, they get a little cagey when you bring up the Asian thing in general.
Also, like, I think that guy, Jared Taylor, he lived in Japan, I think.
They love Japan. Yeah, they think Japan is like another model society. They see it as some sort of fascist ethno-state like Israel. Like they're very excited about it.
Does this thing, did you see any proof that these people have any connection with like the more kind of Graham Hancock world? I don't think him specifically, but all of those, the other Nazi sciences, like Atlantis and...
I can give you a little on aliens.
Okay.
But just a little. So Mark Andreessen, who I've mentioned a couple times now, so maybe I should just say who he is and how he fits into this. Mark Andreessen is one of the co-creators of Mosaic, which was, I think, the first internet access program, period, and became like an early investor in Netscape, and then now is like a huge Silicon Valley investor. He's a very close friend of Elon Musk, and as well as Peter Thiel et al. He's from that world. He's also a complete fascist. He's had a very interesting series of appearances lately on things like the Lex Friedman Show and Joe Rogan, where he would suggest people read fascist philosophers, Italian fascist economists and philosophers on elitism and stuff like this. So he is he was asked by Joe Rogan, obviously, about aliens. And Mark Mark has, I'd say, like a sort of a soft Jacques Vallée take on it. Like he's not entirely in the Tucker world where they are spiritual beings, they are angels, they are demons. He says the exact same thing, but he likes to have it sound sciencey, so he just flips it to be like those things which we've always called angels and demons. They're in fact aliens. I mean, that's the thing. He's a believer though. He's a believer. Yeah. But he's these guys, it's very important to them that they have a sciencey look to them. So they're going to be very shy about the more religious aspects of this. But that's the best I can do so far. I haven't seen them really referencing stuff like Atlantis and things. It didn't occur to me to look though.
Okay.
But I'm curious. They are singularly obsessed with IQ and genetics. And in fact, this is important because these guys are going to bleed into the Trump administration. And when we're looking at this period of massive federal cuts, there is a very sneaky way in which this branches into and out of these human biodiversity types. Because one of the arguments, and we've read this as well in the original eugenics episodes we've done, we've read this also in the history of Nazi Germany, but that is imagining the cost of certain people, right? Measuring their financial weight against the accounts of the state. And this current round of cutting things like whatever, DEI, whatever. I mean, again, obvious and plentiful left critiques of the DEI programs in the US. None of those are what's happening here. This is 100%, I think anyway, a complete IQ accounting.
Yeah.
Right now. I think they're purging. And it's, and I think in the minds of the guys like Stephen Miller, who also come from this scene, by the way, very tightly woven into this scene. He's, of course, now the deputy chief of staff under a woman named Miles, who is herself a fucking freak. But these guys, that's what it is. That's what it is. They're, Elon Musk is obsessed with IQ. Trump, we know, obviously, is obsessed with IQ. They're all, this is this world. In fact, like, the only thing I think that keeps these guys in HB in the Human Diversity Fund out of this spotlight, the Vdare guys out of the spotlight, the UNS guys out of the spotlight. Most of these guys at one point, except for these young'uns, most of these guys did try to run for office at one point in their lives and failed, right? And now I think they've all discovered that they're very successful when they're invisible, when nobody's looking at them, and when instead guys like Donald Trump's speechwriter, who he just rehired now, what's his name, Beatty. This guy Beatty is a white supremacist orator that like spoke with Peter Brimlow and Vdare at conferences about this shit. Like these guys are from here. They're from this circle. And so we're going to be seeing them quite a lot moving forward. But Hope Not Hate did a good job of uncovering exactly these networks, and all of them, goddamn, all the money is tech money, really. Like either it's old Pioneer Fund money from before, or it's like tech investors that are dumping stuff into this.
And even, Adult Friend Finder.
Yes, exactly. And he's a perfect example. Conru. Yeah, exactly right. So just to kind of continue on this run. So on the media side, I mentioned they had their underground research arm, they had their media arm. Kierkegaard is more on the underground research arm. Matthew Frost is more on the media arm.
What is an underground research? What do they do? What constitutes research?
I'll tell you exactly what they do. So Hope Not Hate, their investigators got to actually see some of this stuff. Come on, they gave them flow charts. I'll link, of course, in the description so that you can go and check out the article yourself. There's a lot of good visual aids there. But so what they'll do is they'll sort of browse around for visually striking like graphs, charts, things like that. They'll sort of collect a bunch of these and then spitball back and forth a kind of framework for how to write an article based on that sort of piece.
So basically, just visuals.
I think my from what I've seen so far is that it kind of starts with that, or
because super high IQ people need to see everything. They need graphic representations of everything in order to understand it.
Because their job is to get normies as well as normies is probably lower on the rung. Their job is to get like tech investors and politicians and people like that looking at their article and remembering the headline, because in, let's say, texts that Stephen Miller would send that were uncovered by The Atlantic in an article in like 2020, maybe something like this, you would see these headlines be shared from Stephen Miller to other people in the staff for them to read, and then they'd open it up and you'd get like a nice little chart. And when I was looking at this, the first thing I thought of was how fucking senators and congressmen communicate to each other in the chambers, where if any of them has like a real point to say, they'll have an aide hold up like a massive cardboard thing with like a chart on it. It's very much that vibe, I think that's what they have in mind. They want like an easily digestible, visually striking headline that they can spread. And so they get together. So their underground research arm is how to make the most appealing and plausible looking headline to go with these visual elements. So again, this isn't from the article. This is my personal interpretation.
Yeah. So research is basically just a propaganda arm.
It's fucking clickbait.
Yeah.
They're making clickbait. But then when they have their clickbait, then they start talking about who to reach out to in their circles that can get this clickbait some extra oomph, right? So you've got stuff they can just throw up on Un's Review or Vdare or whatever, the Steve Saylor's blog, whatever it is. And then they've got stuff that they want to actually get into a scientific paper or something adjacent to a scientific paper, and then they have their stable of guys that still have an air of legitimacy about them, and they'll contact one of those guys and be like, yo, can I put your name on this thing? And they'll say, yeah. And then it'll come out. This is how I understand it. I think, I'm hoping more information will come out as these people become more and more powerful. I guess probably it works in the reverse, but we'll see. But that's the idea. It's a clickbait farm that has been really, 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 really successful. Yeah. And was intended exactly to be, a powerful clickbait version of the Pioneer Fund. But now they're adding this social club / fight club. So that'll be their third arm once that gets going. And they're predicting this to be an incredibly profitable endeavor. Like they're putting a lot of money into it, according to Hope Not Hate. The Byzantine, what's it called? New Byzantium. Yeah. So most of this clickbait shit goes out to their media arm. Like I said, one of them is Aporia. The other piece of the other arm is Edward Dutton's YouTube channel called The Jolly Heretic, which is fucking trash, unwatchable. But this guy makes so much money yearly. I think I have the numbers here somewhere, but it's very depressing. The Kierkegaard says that the running costs of the Human Diversity Fund run about $50,000 a month, US dollars. And they have at least 4 full-time staff members, 6 part-timers, and then a bunch of paid researchers, contributors, and developers. In 2023, Frost alone went to 13 international capital cities to participate in conferences and things like that. So how Hope Not Hate gets involved is they end up in Tallinn for the Scanza Forum there, hosted in 2023 by Frodi Major.
Ah, yeah.
Whose name is way cooler than the dude. Very boring guy. And that's when this all kind of came together for Hope Not Hate. And this was their, and I guess what I would like to do is just
That
sort of
guy,
establish.
he participated in the Nazi meetings in Kiev, right? With maybe even David Mamet there and Joshua Sutter.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
In the, what's the name of the club? Reconquista.
Reconquista.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So a couple examples of some of the more legitimate so-called journals they got into. One of them is called, it's called PLOS1+1, which apparently, I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's some science journal. And an article co-authored by a Mankind Quarterly regular actually got published in it, as did the Journal for Twin Research and Human Genetics from Cambridge University Press. It carried a PIFR paper. PIFR paper.
Twin research.
Twin research.
That's what Mengele. Yeah.
You know, it's too bad
Bravo.
Piffer
Bravo.
is such a shithead. It's a great last name for somebody, like, if you had a son who was like a rapper, like in the Dat Piff era, they'd be like Piffer, smoking that Piff.
Hey, all right, yeah. No, he sucks though.
Yeah.
So Jolly Heretic, which is again one of the media arms, the YouTube channel run by Edward Dutton. It's as of October 2024, it had over 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Survivors is fine. This guy was used to have a position at a university in Finland. I think a teaching position, but he plagiarized a student's dissertation and was fired.
He plagiarized the student's dissertation.
Yes. But don't worry, he landed on his feet because he is now the professor of evolutionary psychology at a business school somewhere in Poland.
Wow.
Okay.
Perfect. He still
professor of evolutionary biology, you said.
They have that at a business school.
Wait, evolutionary something like that. Evolutionary psychology.
Well,
that probably goes into the advertising department.
That's hell, no?
Yes, this is
imagine
hell.
a business school in Poland that has this guy as a professor of evolutionary psychology.
We have what is known as a philosophy.
Yeah, that does sound like hell. Taught by this guy, no less. Let's say Dutton makes something like $133,000 a year, according to Hope Not Hate estimates. And they note that there are very few British far-right media companies approaching this level of profitability, if any. So they're quite high on the totem pole here. Among his subscribers is Mark Andreessen, one of the very close associates of these guys, the investor that's friends with Musk, and also considers himself an unpaid intern for Doge as well. And he also said that up to the inauguration, he, alongside Musk, never left Mar-a-Lago, that he was living at Mar-a-Lago up to the inauguration. So these guys are quite close to power. They are power, actually. I mentioned that on Lex's show. Mark went into these Italian fascist theories. What else?
Was like Wilfredo Pareto or what?
No, it wasn't guys I recognized before. It's some deep cuts. Deep cuts. He explained on Joe's show that because he used to be a Democrat, like all these guys were, and then they all flipped around something. But he says, like, I got interested in studying the different philosophies, and I wanted to know about what is this communism and where did it come from? And then I was like, maybe what I was told about fascism wasn't true. And he starts reading about fascism, and he doesn't ever say, hey, I'm a fascist, be a fascist. When Joe's like, Nazis are bad, I have a clip to play you. It's going to break your brain. It's so frustrating to listen to, but he'll just play along, Nazis, but you should really read Mein Kampf though. But
you can't even have a copy of Mein Kampf in your house.
Yeah. So on Joe Rogan, Mark also claimed that the reason why we need this sort of neo-feudalism, he didn't, again, not in his words, what he said was the reason why modern people need to be more like medieval people and modern society should be more like medieval society is because the medieval people, he says, were mentally prepared for the AI to come. And he thinks that we need to return to that state of accepting authority from above and beyond us.
Okay.
In order to successfully cope with the coming advances in our amazing future he has planned for us. Yes, indeed.
God, end it all right now. Just press the button.
Andreessen is related to he's the Andreessen and Andreessen Horowitz, which is the venture capitalist firm. I don't have a lot about Horowitz here, but I can tell you that that the senior White House policy advisor on artificial intelligence that was hired just recently, his name is Sriram Krishnan. Krishnan was a general partner at Andreessen Horowitz, and he's has a close working relationship with Musk and Mark, probably also Peter Thiel then. And when he got hired into the Trump administration, there was an instant pushback from the base about him being Indian. And not only that, but a natural citizen of India.
Right, because he was born in India.
So they're having some tensions with parts of the MAGA right. Like, these guys are very much eugenicists, but as you say, Ray, they also have certain cutouts that they're very willing to employ whenever they feel like it. They're not threatened in that way like this, but they do have this problem. Yeah, they see their racism as not racism, obviously, but as an enlightened form of race realism. And I'm pretty sure they would be like, "Oh, these stupid MAGA racists. What just happened?" You know what I mean? What else? Yeah, another good guy here. Little orbiter. We're kind of in the orbiters now, more or less, but there are some very interesting ones, including
stupid MAGA racists don't know about the caste system.
Yes. Yes. I'm trying to figure out who these people are. So there are observers of this, just on that point, of the new administration that are pointing out some of these tensions between this more Human Diversity Foundation, Steve Saylor, Mark Andreessen, Vdare, Uns Review group, and which are more of the sort of that group in general identifies as the last of the paleoconservative guard, if that helps. They have a lot of anger towards the neoconservative right. And we felt that also, I think, in the Trump campaigns overall. Mm-hmm. And it's because like people like Stephen Miller are all up in this, et cetera, et cetera. And the tech right is 100% this element. And I think that element, and this is what confuses me, is that there's a lot of Bannon crossover here. Mm-hmm. Especially during the last administration, when I guess maybe relationships were a lot less strained. Mm-hmm. These days, we see Bannon like railing against some of these guys.
Right.
So I'm not really sure what that means, but there are some observers now who are saying that this is a real split. They're not faking it, that there are real problems here, and that Bannon may be making a move against this particular circle. But fuck knows, we'll see. But it's
yeah,
they're in charge now.
He says that he's against like transhumanist stuff, right? That's his thing.
Yes, yeah. These guys, they just really want to talk about being smart. I think for them, I doubt they even there are transhumanists, super believers in this circle for sure. The Silicon Valley world, absolutely yes.
I mean,
but these guys in particular,
they get money from the tech guys who are transhumanists.
But you know what? These guys though, in particular, I would like to know more about that relationship. I have a feeling that they enjoy looking like the prophets of the future more than they have an actual interest in things like transhumanism. I think so when they talk, like talking about the future of the AI god and why we need to be more like medieval people, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like they'll say that, but I get the distinct impression that they're just sort of imagining a pretty typical monarchy situation ultimately, very simple, pared down, traditionalistic kind of situation. I don't know if these guys are really believers in this particular circle.
No, I don't think so. It seems to me that it might be a situation where you have like the transhumanist tech people who are rich and who are certainly racist, but who are more into, a kind of a caste thing. Like, they are racist, but they are also like into, like genetic stuff and superior people versus inferior and breeding and so on, and also see transhumanism as a part of achieving that kind of superior caste of people, more so than in just pure white nationalism, although that is also a part of it. And then you have these people who are, white nationalist Nazis and who use eugenics to give a kind of a scientific dimension to their Nazi stuff.
Yes.
But they overlap with the transhumanists in this kind of genetic fixation they both have.
Yeah.
And the first group gives money to the second one. So I guess they also have to be tolerant of the transhumanist stuff, although maybe they're not so much into it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I
want to believe that they're all in on it. So I'm suspicious of that.
Okay.
Because I haven't done that reading altogether. But I'm sure that, like all of our groups on this show, no matter how often they tell you that they're not connected, right? Like through the whole Willis Carto saga or the whole fucking National Renaissance Party shit, most of that is dudes saying that they're not affiliated with each other. So I assume that goes on, right? Like, I'm always wondering about these divisions and how real they really are. It seems like you just sort of go where the applause is a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So I guess to close it off, just the main subject here, there was a couple more interesting connections. Okay, yeah. There's a club called the H.L. Mencken Club. I don't know if this was started by Peter Brimlow from Vdare, but I think it was. And this came together after the John McCain loss. And they all got together with the current speechwriter for Donald Trump, this guy Beatty, to talk about the white politics of the future. And this group, or rather Vdare and Brimlow are quite anti-Semitic. But when talking to, say, people in that circle, like what's that fucking dude's name? John Derbyshire, for instance. John Derbyshire will be like, "Oh, I don't like to answer the JQ. I'd much rather avoid it." And they have a kind of a polite tabling of that discussion. So there's on the Jewish question, quote unquote, there's actually more diversity than probably any other single issue that I've noticed just skimming through. There seems to be they're trying to find a take, but that take ultimately needs to be supportive of Israel. So the even Andrew fucking Anglin put recently an article on Un's Review referencing some of these politics in an oblique way, which made a sort of an anti-Semitic argument for supporting Israel, right? So this is, you can see them sort of like figuring things out still live each day as like the politics in the Trump administration develop, because even though these guys ideologically, intellectually are very much at the core of, I think, most of the more flamboyant shit we're seeing right now in these initial days, they themselves, they're just sort of sitting in the shadows. And their orbiters are the ones that have quite a lot of power, So it's tough to really know how influential they are because of that. Like, for all I know, no, skip that. No, they're fucking central. They're in it. This is the Reborn Pioneer Fund, reimagined as a social media campaign specifically to reach out to like frustrated, fired academics and politicians and Nazis, and also, of course, tech money and, your average middle class, frustrated fucking divorced dad guy.
Will they get their jobs back now?
Well, one of them already did, and that guy would be Beatty, the speechwriter. He's a guy that lost his job back in the first administration because he was affiliated with these guys. But before they joined, this is back, like, he went to a conference in 2008 with Peter Brimlow, and that came to bite him in the ass later. But he has now been hired again. Yeah. So, and like Andrew Anglin in Un's Review, Un's Review again, unaffiliated news outlet with this whole Human Diversity Foundation shit. They put up a headline guide for all of their readers on how to get jobs in this administration, including like direct links to the different hiring offices and what to say on applications and stuff like that. So they're all every last one of them, regardless of their critiques about this or that little detail, they're so happy right now. They all see this as the golden age. They say it's now or never. This is the first real chance we've had. Sorry, I'm getting choked up about this. This is the first real chance they've had to save the white race. So, I don't know. Any comments before we listen to this last little Joe Rogan clip that I wanted to share with you? I mean, I wouldn't call this, if you want like a really well organized single tight narrative of this, please read Race Science Incorporated, written by Harry Shukman and Patrik Hermansson. And that's on the Hope Not Hate Investigation Hub. But I wanted to also fill in, some of the scarier, very up to date shit that these guys have now become intertwined with. It's been said that it's important to learn from history so that we don't repeat it. Oh. It's been said specifically about fascism and Holocaust.
Yes.
So wouldn't it be funny to say that to a guy who's supporting the creation of a new SS and a revitalized eugenics and the mass elimination of undesirable populations from the US? Wouldn't it be funny to talk about that with that guy?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, of course.
Well, probably he also learns from the mistakes of the guys who previously tried to do all of that.
Oh, yeah. He has said so. I think his words, maybe it's in this clip, but I do remember him saying something along the lines of, yes, Joe Rogan, you're right. It's important to study the Nazis. I think he said, it's important to study them to see where they went wrong.
Okay.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. But anyway, here's Joe helping usher in the golden age and hoping that we all learn from our mistakes.
How are we going to study history?
Yeah, right. And how are we going to prevent bad things from happening?
If you can't read Mein Kampf,
we can't wrap our heads around why they happened the first time.
Especially something like the Nazis. Like, how are we going to learn like what happened? Yeah. Clearly, 1920s Germany was very different than 1945 Germany. Right. What the fuck happened in 25 years? Right. So what we're essentially talking about is the year 1999 America versus 2024 America. Right. Imagine a shift of that magnitude, so crazy that there's a Holocaust in 2024, and in 1999 everybody's just hanging out.
Yep, that's right.
Well, you should probably study that, and you should probably not reprimand someone for reading a book on this.
Mein Kampf, he means.
Yeah, exactly. And look, the German people went along with it, right? And so, how did that happen?
How did that happen?
Right, and how many, did they? Yeah, was there active agreement? Was there passive agreement? Was there,
What are the steps
am I supposed to do?
where things go horribly wrong?
Yeah, no, that's right.
And how can we recognize those? Because those steps have taken place multiple times in history, in recorded history.
Right.
We know about them.
Yeah.
So, like, if we see them happening today, maybe we should stop it and nip it at the bud. Yeah. What better way than to read about when it already happened?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan thinks that people are not studying the Nazis?
Yeah, well, you're not allowed to because...
You can't even have a copy of Mein Kampf in your house.
Literally, that's what started that conversation.
Yeah.
So if you're not allowed to, and Mark said, and there was this college kid who got kicked out of college because he was reading Mein Kampf in the quad. And Joe's like, no. I assume he was reading it out loud. Also, like, why would Mark Andreessen, one of the richest men on the planet, know exactly about one college kid who got kicked out because of a copy of Mein Kampf? It seems like a very specific set of interests you would have to be up on that news, or perhaps be the member of a certain series of message boards dedicated exactly to making a new American Nazism. Those might be reasons, but I was just watching this, just watching Joe talk to a Nazi. About learning from the past and saying to himself, if only we could recognize the signs. Saying stuff like, imagine who we were in 1999, and then imagine if there was some, Holocaust in 2024. Imagine if there was a ethnic genocide of a fucking ethno-state looking for Lebensraum in 2024.
Wow.
Imagine. Wow. If that's right, that really changes everything.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. Think about it, guys.
I mean, that's immensely depressing.
Yes. Yeah.
If only people studied Nazis more.
If only. Thank God Mark Andreessen did.
Yeah.
And can recommend a certain Italian economist to take our mind off of it.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, Human Diversity Foundation LLC. I am nowhere near done with these motherfuckers. Vdare alone is a wealth of horror.
Yeah.
And power. And that's what we.
Well, I don't think anybody's done with
here.
them because we're just going to keep seeing it more and more.
Oh, yeah. But they're getting jobs in the administration now. Yeah. I'm also going to link in the description of this episode to an article written a while ago by The Atlantic. I mentioned it earlier, but it covers Stephen Miller's extensive connections to these names at a time when they meant a little less than they do now. So it's an interesting look. So I'll put that up as well.
Cool.
Is Stephen Miller Jewish?
Yeah. Well, or at least part. There's actually quite a lot of people in the circle who have like a Jewish father, for instance. Quite a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay.
These are facts. That's what's happening now.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, guys. So, we're definitely more current events episodes in the works. And, but I think our next foray into fascism is another historical look, but one that will also feel very much like a current event, I do believe.
And also connected to the Pioneer Funds.
As well.
Right.
Yeah. You know what? There's the Schlaflys are even kind of involved in this story. Like one of the dudes that became tight. Okay, there's for like there's connections we didn't even get to. Like there's Kierkegaard, Brimlow. They have direct connections to the National Policy Institute, and personally knew Richard Spencer, for instance. You know, they're everywhere. These fucking guys. So more to come. Sadly.
Fuck.
Free holy.
There we go. Bring us back.
A simpler time.
Okay. You know, I was wondering if that was still on sounding because I was going to say this is the perfect time to appropriate.
Yeah. He snuck it in today. All right, guys. So, see you later.
Later.
Bye.
Hey there, all you free people enjoying your free episodes from The Empire Never Ended. Maybe scoot on over to patreon.com/tenepod and become a patron. We publish 3 additional premium episodes there alongside the 2 freebies each month. We're on Twitter too, also at Tenepod, but our Patreon is really where it's at. See you there, maybe?
They'll wake up one day. There will be.